we have some players that can be up for the franchise tag, right? So I want to
Yep.
play a little rapid fire with a few of these names and say what we would do if we are the general manager, right? Will we
Yep.
tag them? Will we sign them, or will we let them go, hit free agency, right? So we're gonna start with Indianapolis coach quarterback Daniel Jones. Would you tag him or sign him to a long term deal?
I try and sign him to a short-term deal. I'm not signing him to a long-term deal. I would try to hit a 2-3 year window. I think Daniel Jones has shown you enough in that he
Hmm.
was able to go to the postseason with the Giants and Brian Dable and what they were on pace to do this year while he was healthy. I would like him to be in that 2-3 year window. Can they get that done? That depends, right? So I'd like to see them either tag him or put him on a 2-3 year deal because you gotta learn from the Tua deal. You gotta learn from some of the Kyler Murray deal. You gotta learn from some of these deals where people got paid based off of short amounts of time. I've seen bad Daniel Jones and I've seen good Daniel Jones. Okay. So now I gotta split the middle. I gotta pay him. Can I put him on a Sam Darnold like deal? If I can get something like that done, that's what I'd like to see the Colts do because we know they can win with Daniel Jones because they were winning with Daniel Jones. So that's what I'd like to see them do is sign him to not a long term, a midterm. We'll call it a midterm contract. That's what I'd like to see him do.
I like that midterm. All right, let's do this. Let's go Kenneth Walker. Franchise tag him, long term deal, or let him go.
So they're not going to franchise tag him because the tag went open today at 2 o'clock, and that was an option. And they're currently trying to negotiate a deal with him, and that's what they should do. I trust John Schneider. They know they want to keep Kenneth Walker, but if they franchise tag him, they got to pay him at a top five. And there's a lot of good running backs, and you see the money that it would require. I'd rather be paying him to keep him for 3 years on an average annual salary of let's say 10 or 11 million versus paying him 14 and a half because I need that
Mhm.
3.5, $4 million to go keep this team together to be able to go try and win another Super Bowl. So that's what I would do.
Yeah, I would sign him. All right. Try to
Yep.
find a way to get him around 10, $11 million a year. This is a 1,000 yard back, right? And I think he has even more leverage, obviously, with the injury to Zach
Of
Charbonnet, right?
course.
So he's probably going to be your week one starter through the probably first 5, 6 weeks of the season until we'll see, right? Because it's usually the ACL is what, about a 9 month to a full year. Hopefully, it's not a full year because Charbonnet got injured late in the season, but 9 months, Charbonnet probably still isn't ready for the beginning of the season. So I would definitely sign him. And like I said, 10, 11 million per year. Like you said, still under that franchise tag, lock him up. He's part of the identity of what the Seattle Seahawks are offensively. I think it'll do well. It'll do well in the locker room. Let's go back to Indianapolis. Here we go. Alec Pierce. Are you signing him, tagging him, or letting him walk?
I would try and sign him. I'm not tagging him. That's not. I think that if they're going to do anything, they'll probably end up tagging Daniel Jones or trying to. It seems like they're trying to operate very efficiently and very smartly. Obviously, because the team's being run by three awesome women. So no kidding that they're actually doing things efficiently and in a very smart fashion. But
That's
I'd
true.
like to I'd like to see Alec Pierce stay with the team, but I'm not going to pay him at the high level, the average of the top five salaries for a wide receiver. So I'd like to see them try and sign him and keep him around, but not at a franchise tag price.
Yeah, no, I would sign him. I would sign him to a 3, 4 year deal. And this is the thing with Alec Pierce, right? We have to understand how dysfunctional the quarterback position has been
Yeah.
since he's been drafted, right? And Alec Pierce was a wide receiver coming out of Cincinnati that I liked a lot. I had a second round grade on him, being 6 foot plus. He was explosive. I think we just started to see some of those things this season. I believe it was his first year being 1,000 yard wide receiver. He showed that he's a really good number two wide
Yep.
receiver for offense, and he fits what's going on. He finally had competent quarterback playing Daniel Jones, and there's no wonder why his production went up in Indianapolis.
Yeah, I like him a lot. I definitely would like to see them sign him. It seems like we're in lockstep here so far, Keith. We're in lockstep here.
Yep. All right, let's go. Up next, the Carolina Panthers. Rico Dowdle. Are you signing to a long term deal, franchise tagging them, or letting them walk?
This is the first one that I would let go test the market in free agency. You might end up signing Rico Dowdle, but I'm not going to let him negotiate from a position of power based off of the amount of time that I saw success and also just this position in general. As much as I like running backs and we both like running backs, I think it's just him, how much time I've seen him and just where he is and what he's going to potentially try to demand. I'd let him go test the market and then see if he comes back at a more reasonable number. That's what I would like to see happen for Rico Dowdle.
Yeah, I agree. Because there are other things with Rico Dowdle that you want to see from him, right? Like
Yep.
his ability to impact the passing game more, right? And there's a reason why I think that he hasn't been a extremely sought after number one running back in the NFL. So it's like, are you going to pay him top dollar, especially when there are things offensively and defensively that this team still has to fill out if the Carolina Panthers want to continue to take steps forward? I think paying guys like Rico Dowdle is when you start to those margins, right? They become very important because could that 7, 8 to 10, $12 million that he's going to want be utilized elsewhere, right? To round out a cornerback room, a linebacker, or interior defensive line, or maybe even offensive line, right? If there's a couple extra $1 million that you can give to offensive linemen to sway them one way or other. So I'm right there with you on Rico Dotto. Let's do this. New York Giants. Robinson, wide receiver. Would you tag him, sign up to a long-term deal, let him walk?
I'm trying to sign Wandale Robinson after coming off of a really good year that he had. You're looking at obviously Jackson Dart and wanting to make sure that you have as many assets around this young man as you can. You obviously have Malik Neighbors, who's coming off of an injury, also in the timetable of him coming back and the amount of time it's going to take to get him back healthy and a part of the fold. I think it's necessary to have Wandale Robinson as a part of this wide receiver room so you can make sure that you got enough assets and enough people around you for Jackson Dart. Obviously, also Cam Scadaboo coming back off of an injury. You're limited in the amount of resources you have. And I think midway through the season, if you let go of Wandale Robinson, you might be looking at a tough situation. So I'd like to see John Harbaugh negotiate a contract to be able to keep him, since I know he's doing all the deal making since Joe Sheen has no power in New York anymore. So I have a lot more faith that John Harbaugh will get this done and get this done in the right way.
Yeah, I think you hit all the points, right? He's 1,000 yard wide receiver. He's been there a few years, and he's proven to be a guy that can be utilized in multiple different situations. And I mean, in this past year, he did it amongst chaos, right?
Yeah.
3 different starting quarterbacks the New York Giants had. So I think with some consistency, he'll be able to figure it out. Let's do this. Let's wrap this up with Atlanta Falcons former top 5 pick, Mr. Kyle Pitts. Are you signing to a long term deal, franchise tagging him, or letting him walk?
I'm trying to sign him to a midterm contract again. And I'm not tagging him because if you tag him, you're paying him as the average of a top 5 tight end. And he has not consistently been a top 5 tight end. He may have been drafted to be that guy, but he had a really good last season, but has been up and down thus far throughout his young career in Atlanta. So what I'd like to see them do is I'd like to see them keep him, put him on we'll call it, this is a bridge contract. That's a better word for it. It's a bridge contract to a big boy contract. You deserve the opportunity to come back, 2-year deal, give him money so that he's more guaranteed money up front. So he's more enticed to stay there. Keep this young core together so you can try to figure out who you want to be the right quarterback moving forward. They said today, Matt Ryan, they are not committed to Michael Penix moving forward as the starting quarterback. So it's going to be heated there. There's going to be a quarterback battle, but because you're having a battle, you want to make sure you keep all those assets around. I just can't pay him to be a top 5 guy because he has not been that guy consistently. So that's why I would not franchise tag him.
Yeah. Okay. I'm actually going to go opposite of you
Okay.
on this. The franchise tag is what I actually would use on
Okay.
Kyle Pitts. And for the reason of the quarterback position, right? And how inconsistent that is. So I
Yeah.
would be nervous about signing him to a 3-year deal, right? And then our quarterback situation is bad. If Kirk Cousins doesn't come, if Kyler Murray doesn't come, and Michael Penix
Yeah.
is not playing good football, then I have a tight end that I'm paying, 13, 14, $15 million over the next 3 years that's going to get very little to no production. And also, I'm fine with kind of pushing my chips in the middle of the table for one more year
Hmm.
to almost make sure it's real, right?
Yeah.
Especially with Kyle Pitts, because you talked about the inconsistency, right? It's like, listen, I don't want to marry you. I just want to date you for one more year and see if this is the real thing or not.
Yeah.
And so I think a franchise tag, I think it'd be a perfect situation from kind of making sure that Kyle Pitts is essentially, I don't want to say resting on his laurels, but he's consistent in the production that he's given to the Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah, I got to see it more for sure. I'm
Yeah,
in
yeah,
agreement. I'm in agreement with you. I'd like to try and see 2 years at a more flexible contract for the teams. I'm trying to wheel and deal around here. That's the theme of this. Is that I'm trying to get
yeah.
the
You trying to squeeze
I'm
everybody
trying to
using your
squeeze
general
everybody.
manager
I'm
some
trying to
cash.
negotiate a hell of a contract. Listen, you got to show me something. We pay great players great money. What you're saying? Great players great money, good players good money, and bad players get bad money. Listen,
Yep.
go be great for a couple years, and then you're gonna get great money.